I'm excited to introduce our next speaker. Her name is Coach Andrea. Welcome. You're muted. Me.
Hello there.
Awesome. Nice to see you, Coach Andrea.
Nice
How are
to
you?
see you. I'm doing well. How are you?
Very good. I'm just reading your slide and I'm going, what? Control does not equal connection? Isn't that how we connect? If I control somebody, I'm always connected to them. It's interesting.
Yeah. So
Why power fails and presence heals. I'm excited for this, and I do need to introduce Coach Andrea. So Coach Andrea stands for replacing control with something, and I have no idea. She didn't tell me. She's going to tell us today. She believes power without presence fails. We'll find out. She is committed to helping parents breaking generational patterns. Awesome. And then she is here to show us that correction might
like something.
make life.
Yeah.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Kohila, for that wonderful welcome. And I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I actually would like to start today by doing probably what a lot of our coaches and my colleagues have been doing. And we're going to do a little bit of a breathing exercise just to help regulate. And then I can get it into my talk more. So hopefully that's okay with everybody. Put your hand across your heart. We're going to breathe in for 4, hold for 4, and then breathe out for 4. Okay. So here we go. Breathe in 2, 3, 4, hold for 4, and blow it out slowly. All right. So I am here to talk about why control doesn't necessarily equal how we connect. And it doesn't allow us to necessarily create that connection where the control that we think we want or that we are desiring can happen. Let's move on. I want to talk a little bit about this idea of control versus connection and rethinking the way we think about control in a society that really rewards it. Many of us were taught that control equals safety, it equals love, right? Obedience equals respect. And to command obedience means to have control of the outcome or the person. Who has done that? Who I have. I can raise my hand and I can say wholeheartedly, I know I've done that with students. I know I've done that with my own children because it was taught. And this particular topic actually really hits home. And I'm going to talk about that in just a moment. But we do this because we want kids to comply, right? We want them to behave. We want them to do the chores when we want them to do the chores. That's the structure. That's how we feel like we can have the structure that we need. And sometimes we even do this with yelling and punishment. Raise your hand if you have ever caught yourself yelling or giving out punishments to try and dominate and have that control. And really what happens is it sacrifices the safety of our children or anybody for that matter, where we are using that dominance, that control, that power technique. And a lot of times when there's behaviors that are happening, it is the child, whether that's your own child, whether it's a student, whether it's your grandchild, who is just saying, I don't really feel safe yet. And then we come in and we bombard them with more control, and that still isn't going to make them feel quite safe yet. And so it's not about so much letting go of society has structure. We need to teach our children and our students there's structure in life, right? There's rules, there's regulations, there are things that happen in life that and societal norms that we don't get around. But rather, I'm suggesting we shift how we hold that and how we approach it. Because at the end of the day, control, we're going to get compliance. I mean, you can see that we might actually get what we want done through the control mechanism, but it's not going to bring us connection to our students and to our children. Again, that yelling, that panicking, that threatening. I don't think I'm a bad parent. I don't think that I'm a bad person. I'm a bad human for having used that and gone to those methods. But I think there's another way to accomplish what we're trying to accomplish. I want to share a little story about growing up. And I think that this is important. And part of the reason why I picked this topic today to talk about is because, let me share the story with you. So I was really fortunate to grow up in a very loving, supportive home, two wonderful parents, albeit divorced, but best friends. It was back in the bit for my parents to be divorced and to be so close and to co-parent so well. And so it was almost like our houses were seamless, which was wonderful. And I give my parents a lot of credit for that. Again, like I said, very supportive and loving, kind, always there. My father, very thoughtful, kind, great listener, wonderful person. He led with control. He had a tight ship, and we knew it. We knew it. There were firm structure, very clear rules, high expectation. It was gentle control, but it was control. But what came on top of what I just said was this control to make us comply with the rules. Okay. And always a correction to make sure we were complying with those rules. And what happened as I was growing up is I internalized this. I became me. This became who I was. This was ingrained in me. And as a child, I believed if I do everything perfectly, and there is a synergistic relationship between control and perfection, I stay safe. I stay safe. I'm okay. As long as it fits in this box and I keep it in that box, I'm okay. And as an adult, this belief system stayed with me. It really did. And my control was being disguised as perfectionism. And that became, I guess, if you want to say, my power shield, my superpower, right? That's what it looked like. And of course, it showed up in my school, in my grades, at university. It showed up in my home. It showed up in my marriage. It showed up raising my children or working when they were young. Back in university, I remember for me, it was all about grades. And it's because that controlling mechanism from my father was about grades, not are you okay and struggling. And so it became my structure, my control mechanism. If my grades weren't performing, I wasn't performing where I knew or I expected myself to perform, I would get so stressed out that I, on two occasions, ended up in the hospital. And unfortunately, one of the occasions I was on suicide watch. Now, I haven't shared that with very many people, and I'm sharing that with you now because I felt like I had lost control. And so if I lost control, what was that going to look like for me? And so all of this control growing up and that I've had throughout my life has gotten me results, but it's really cost me my peace. And I realize that now, which is right. We're going through this learning experience called life, and that's what happens. So I just want to take just a moment and I want to bring the slides back up here. And I want to ask you a question. What does control cost you? Where do you feel it in your body? When you feel control, where do you feel it in your body? I don't know if anybody wants to comment on where they feel it in their body. My picture right here shows where I feel it and where I've always felt it. A lot of us, like right here on our shoulders, or we feel it in our gut, we get an upset stomach because our body goes into this sympathetic flight or fight mode rather than parasympathetic. And so we get, unfortunately, our bowels moving, we get headaches, we feel that tension right up here. Yes, neck and shoulders, I see that. And this diagram is all of this stuff that I'm trying to control. It's all these little tidbits of lots of littles made up into one big bunch of stuff. And my hands are trying to control it. I'm trying to keep it there. I'm trying to keep it right there, right there. It's that feeling. And I don't know, hopefully you guys can identify with that in some way, shape, or form, but it always takes its toll on our bodies. It always does. So I want to go back to my story for just a moment. My husband passed away from brain cancer in 2014. And I was getting to a point right before he got diagnosed with cancer where I thought, you know what? I'm learning how to work with this. We were working together on it. Nobody comes into a marriage perfect, but we had such a beautiful relationship. And then he got cancer. And talk about not being able to have control. It was very difficult. And so I clung tighter to what I thought would protect me during this time, and that was control. And after he passed away, I clung on to it even tighter. And it just exploded because I was now parenting two very different boys, neurodivergent, by the way, boys, one with autism and one with ADHD. And on top of that, I was dealing with the grief that I was going through, the grief that my children were going through. And so the only thing I knew to do was to go back to where I was as a child and my upbringing. And that is control. That is going back to, if I control the outcome, if I keep it in this box, it's going to be okay and it's going to work out. Okay. And yeah, that wasn't working very well for me. The strict rules, the consequences, the getting upset with them, the anger, it would help at times. I would see breakthroughs, but then I would see backfires. And I just decided I don't want to see the backfires as much anymore. This isn't comfortable for me. This isn't comfortable for my children. And this isn't how I want to parent them. And by the way, this isn't how I want to educate my kiddos in school either. And I didn't actually realize it at the time that I was really in this protective mode, right? So my nervous system had gone into complete protection. So there was a turning point for me. So a few years after Alan passed, I realized something needed to change. And I started looking just not at my children's behavior, because we're always looking at our children's behavior. We're always looking at the behaviors in our classrooms and whatnot. But I also started looking at my own behavior and doing some introspect and saying, okay, is there something that I can change? What do I need to change to help the behaviors, to help what's happening at home and in the classroom, and to be a better teacher? So I started on my journey. I started meditating first and reading informational publications. I even took some classes, and it was very helpful. It definitely was helping me. And it was making a difference in my household and in the classroom. But I just have to say, and Kohila, I'm just saying it because I absolutely have been amazed at the process I've learned with success codes and with you, that the blocks to flow method was like the cherry on top, plus some whipped cream. I'm going to add some whipped cream in there too. I was desiring this deeper connection in education. So I was like, okay, this is great. I love the blocks to flow method. I love the idea in becoming a learning success coach. But little did I know that it was going to help me in the place I needed it most, which was still parenting. And it was amazing. And it's been an amazing process. I started breathing more before correcting my children. I started softening my tone more when talking with them and maybe asking to do something. There was just more of a pause, more of a reflection. And what I have noticed is that through this whole process that my boys are coming to the dinner table and wanting to talk a little bit more about what's happening in their lives and how their days are going, and just trusting a little bit more in my presence. Not so much, is mom going to be angry with me today about something? Yes, exactly. It's been wonderful. But I've actually also noticed it with my students as well. Most recently, I teach at the college level, but I also teach in our local school district as well. And it is definitely something that I have been noticing to be so much more effective. So I guess I'm just going to offer this before we go to my final slide. If you find yourself raising your voice, enforcing rules out of anger, out of panic, and that domination, it's got to be done, or feel like the idea of control is your only option, maybe go back to the exercise we did in the beginning, touch your heart, do some breathing, maybe find a really good tapping exercise. There's a multitude of tapping exercises on the web. And ask yourself, am I leading from control or am I leading from presence? Right? So do that and ask yourself that question. I really would like to end with it's a very small visualization. So I'm hoping that everybody can close their eyes for just a moment. And I want you to think of the last time your child or a child, maybe in your classroom, maybe your grandparent, maybe it's your child, pushed back. And now ask yourself, was I trying to fix their behavior in my response? Or was I trying to regulate their nervous system? Because those are two very different things. And I would suggest that the latter, the nervous system, and helping them regulate their nervous system is going to do much more in the long run and be much more effective. So I have this question here. What would shift if I started with nervous system safety, not with control, compliance, or correction? So every time you feel that, maybe take that little pause and just say, what would change if I came from approaching it from nervous system safety and not so much control dominance? I think you'll find that it might create a pivot for you. It does for me, anyways. Because really, at the end of the day, children really don't need us to control their emotions. They've got their own subset emotions, just like we do too. They don't need us to control them. They need us to help co-regulate them. And when we model safety to them and not just command respect, we're going to get that structure that we're looking for, that structure that we would like to see, more so than pointing our finger and going, go do this right now, or you're grounded. Because that a million times has come out of my mouth. I admit it. Okay. I'm here to admit that. So really, it's just leading with presence, not force. That's really the end of that. And yeah, I mean, that's what I have to say about it.
Beautiful. And thank you so much for sharing and being
Yeah.
vulnerable here. Thank you. There's a lot of comments here, but there's a question, how, or was it a comment maybe from Success Codes? So how often do we start with the nervous system, with our nervous system? And that's really important that we talk about this, because we don't actually talk about nervous system at all. We just expect this body to just function.
It's always this idea we have to accomplish something versus just sitting back and being present and allowing things to flow a little bit more, and then seeing that the outcome that we were hoping for actually naturally comes itself if we provide that flow with a little bit of gentle guidance and reassurance versus dictating it.
And also, like with your story, what I really understood is that when your nervous system is hijacked and you're triggered, then to parent someone younger, you will induce that energy.
Absolutely.
Even though you're like, oh, it's just me. No, you're giving it to them indirectly.
Right?
It's passing, it's energy.
It's
So
all energy.
yeah, we have to be so
And
mindful.
also it goes back to that modeling, right? So if we're modeling that energy, they're going to pick up on it and they're going to model that energy. The same thing is going to happen. If you want to look at an analogy, if we sit there and use bad words all the time, our children are going to use bad words all the time. If we model that fight or flight constantly and our nervous system is there in that, they're going to model that, and that's going to come right back as well.
If you talk to your kids from that place of compassion instead of control, They're going to learn that from you. They're also going to talk to you though. So we have some questions. Let's go over these. Lori has a question.
I'm trying to read it here. Do you feel that breathing works in your coaching and your classroom? If so, why don't more teachers use it? 100%, I believe that. I not only believe it, I've witnessed it. I've actually not just witnessed it with my students, I've witnessed it with my children as well, especially my child with autism. The dysregulation that happens, it really helps him come back. So why don't more teachers use it? Lori, I think that's a really good question. I think that maybe time, maybe they don't find the time for it. Maybe they aren't aware of what it can do for the students.
But we'll waste time. We have to get the curriculum in.
It's got to get the testing in. You've got to get this done. And if it's not done on this schedule, then that needs to go by the wayside. And we do see that. We see that in education all the time. I think that's probably.
Yeah, we make a lesson plan and we have to stick to it. And even if I want to do it, I'm not blaming any teacher or anybody. Even if I wanted to do it, I will then be told by someone else that those are things you're wasting time. And you could have got another lesson in there and you could have been ahead or something, or you could have helped somebody. But we don't have that awareness yet. How much those things are going to ground us, makes us present. And that's what that nervous system needs. We don't give enough credit to it yet. We just think of it as a tool, but it's wasting time. Until we have that, even if the teacher feels it's good, the administrators have to feel it's good. Even if the administrators are feeling good, the parents also have to feel good about it. Otherwise, they're going to be like, you guys are wasting an hour of class meditating. I don't think that's good. We need to do work. Some parents are like that too. They want kids to do work.
It's true. And that's a good example of my father. That's a very good example of exactly what I learned and why my behavior and that became my shield. I'm going to work. I'm going to perfect this. I'm going to control the outcome of it. And that's how I'm going to be successful.
Absolutely.
And I saw one more question. I don't know if we can take it or not, if we have time for that. I saw a question from Tony talking about, do they teach it in university? No. There's my long and short answer. I was never taught it in university for getting my teaching credentials. Unfortunately, I know I'm seeing some comments here that people weren't taught it until they met you, Kohila, and learned that that's what they could do. They could utilize those techniques in their classroom or with their children, whatever it might be. Yeah, it's unfortunate because again, we go back to the mental health of our children, and why it's not put as a priority is beyond me, but it should be. And if it is being taught now, I was not taught it in my teaching education.
Yeah, it's a waste of time. We stand on that. Performance is everything. We need to keep learning and we need to be pushing content, and we have content to be finished, and we need to end the year with performance.
At the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's hardwired. Like that neurological pathway is so wired that even though it took me a long time to preach, whatever I preach was to do it in real, because as a math teacher, I'm like, okay, let's get to math. No, you're not getting to math. Back off. Like I had to train because everybody came from math to me, right? Math help. Go to math. No, don't go to math. They need more than that. This child doesn't need that.
When I came on and went through the blocks to flow method, I was like, this is amazing, because we're not just going straight to helping a student academically. We're getting down to the root of what's going on and helping to co-regulate that system first so that they can learn, so that there is that learning ability that will far exceed anything than just putting academic on top of academic on top of academic and expecting pure performance. So
yes, thank you, Andrea. So control does not equal connection.
It does not equal connection. And I don't know if they put in there we could have, I was giving some coaching sessions away. Yeah. So there it is. mindflowsuccess@gmail.com and claim your 5-day coaching experience. And what we'll look at is what your child needs. And then we'll co-create a personalized plan going forward to help them succeed. Right.
If you're a parent who is stuck in control, because that is what it is, right? Blocked. into control because of your past experiences and you feel like, why am I not parenting, and start blaming or shaming yourself, I would take this amazing gift. And again, all of these links are in the journal, so don't worry about copying it. I know when I copy, I miss a letter or two sometimes. So it's going to be in the journal, so you'll always have the QR code for you to take it from. So thank you. So what does control equal then?
Control equals chaos. I was going to say something along the lines of just complete shutdown. And I'm taking that from my own experience with control. Just complete.
Please. Control equals.
Yeah. Just shut down. It's not going to necessarily get you where you want to be.
And connection equals safety.
Nervous system safety. Actually, love, presence. Actually, connection equals relationship.
And that morphic field.
Relationships, that morphic feeling, that just in that right there is so powerful.
It's more than words. When you start sharing energy field.
Yep.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.